Kassadin Guide Season 9. Hey guys, Zeus here and welcome to this ultimate guide. Kassadin, the Voidwalker, has long been one of the most feared champs. Ask any longtime player about Season 3 Kassadin and they'll tell you of the horrors they suffered against this terrifying late game monster. This guide uses the best stat websites from the best solo queue and pro players. It contains in-game footage from ranked games, combos, matchups, tips and more. It will help you emulate their playstyle if you follow most of the information. There is timestamps below to all the section in the description if you're after something specific right now. Remember to save it to a playlist and come back when it's convenient for you since it's a pretty long video. If you're thinking about trying Kassadin soon, hit that like button just so I can see how many of you are interested. Before we get into the main content, let's quickly go over the abilities. Kassadin's passive takes 15% reduced damage from AP, making him strong against many AP matchups, and he's also able to walk through units, which basically means he can't be blocked by champs, minions, and monsters. His Q is a click target ability which deals AP, grants him a magic shield, allowing him to absorb some AP damage. His Q can also interrupt channeled abilities. His W has two parts, a passive which increases his basic attack damage, and an active that increases his auto attack range by 50, deals extra AP damage, and restores missing mana. The mana restore is 4 times as much on enemy champs. His E is an AoE, AP damage, and slow in a cone right in front of him. Kassadin needs 6 stacks to use this ability. He gains 1 stack per ability used by him or any nearby champs, even enemy champs. Finally, his ultimate, Riftwalk, allows him to blink to a target location, damaging all enemies on arrival. It scales off AP and mana. This is the ability that truly makes Cass one of the most feared champs when fed. At level 16, he can use this almost every 1 second at 40% CDR. For skill order, you want to max Q first, E, then W. There are 2 major runes taken by 99% of the top solo queue and pro players. Fleet Footwork and Electrocute. Let's first go over Fleet Footwork. Here is a cheat sheet if you want to try this out ASAP. Very rarely seen mid, Fleet Footwork's main purpose is to help Kassadin sustain through his toughest and most vulnerable stage of the game, laning phase. He gains HP and some movement speed every time he orders an enemy at 100 stacks. He charges these stacks by moving or attacking. The first minor rune from the Precision path is a close call between Triumph and Presence of Mind. Triumph is best if health is a priority, helping you restore 12% of missing HP and granting you 20 gold after a takedown. Presence of Mind is best if mana is a priority, restoring 20% of your maximum mana and refunding 10% of your ultimate's cooldown, which is not that important since his cooldown is already pretty low. This gives Cass insane potential to clean up fights, especially when his ult will cost 800 mana after 4+ stacks. You can't really go wrong with either one. Triumph is great for some really close fights and can be the difference between you backing out after taking serious damage, restoring missing HP, giving him enough HP to go back into a fight. Presence of Mind is also great, however you'll already have plenty of mana from Roa and Seraphs, so if you can carefully manage your mana usage, it won't always be necessary. Legend Tenacity as the second minor rune. Kassadin gains 5% tenacity plus 2.5% every stack, for a maximum of 30%. Stacks are gained mainly from champion and epic monster takedowns, and some from large monsters and minions. This is perfect for a champ like Kassadin, who needs to get deep into teamfights and is therefore vulnerable to CC. The final rune is Coup de Grace. This helps Cass deal 7% more damage to champions below 40% HP, additionally gaining extra 15 AP on every takedown for the next few seconds. This works great for Cass's cleanup playstyle, securing kills on low HP targets. The most common second path for Fleet Footwork is Domination. Taste of Blood helps heal HP whenever you damage an enemy. This is mostly procced off your Q in lane, great for sustain and early laning. Ravenous Hunter is the final rune. Heals you for 1.5% of your damage from abilities, on-hit effects and items. You gain 2.5% per stack, up to 14% at 5 stacks per unique takedown. Although it's mostly effective later on, it still helps Cass a little early on. The second most popular major rune is Electrocute. Here's a cheat sheet for that. In easier to medium lanes, the healing sustained from Fleet Footwork isn't necessary, so Kassadin gains extra damage from this rune. It's quite hard to proc this rune consistently before level 6 against most laners, considering you need to Q, E, and an auto to proc this as a melee champ is pretty difficult to get up close, but he should have no problem after level 6. Taste of Blood for some sustain, or if HP sustain isn't an issue in an easier lane, grab Sudden Impact for that extra magic and armor pen procced every time Kassadin presses R, his Riftwalk. Eyeball Collection for the second minor rune. Granting him AP for every takedown, this helps Cass slightly snowball. The final rune is Ravenous Hunter. Again, the HP sustain is great, especially later on when fully stacked. The second path is Sorcery. Transcendence grants Cass 10% CDR at level 10. This rune will help cap your CDR at 40% once you have Archangel Staff, Zhonya's, and Lichbane. The final rune is Gathering Storm. The ultimate scaling rune fits into Kassadin's late game scaling playstyle. Once you reach that 30 minutes AP from this rune and are level 16, you will be a complete terror to deal with. Your potential to carry is insane. The most common and cost-effective start is Dark Seal plus Refillable Potion. This provides good stats for Cass's laning phase, plus the increased healing from potions. After a few backs to base, you'll save gold from not having to buy HP potions. Even if you get poked early, you can always back and take TP for an even safer lane. More on that in summoner spells and matchups. Thoran Shield can be good in some lanes. Even if you take poke or rough trades, you can simply play passive and allow the HP regen this provides to keep you healthy. You can pick up a Dark Seal plus Refillable on your way back if you still want that. Corrupting Potion is another popular start. Although it provides no stats, the health plus mana regen and the extra damage from the burn may be optimal for some lanes. Again, you can grab a Dark Seal on your first back if you'd like. If you start a Dark Seal plus Refillable, you can always upgrade the Refillable into a Corrupting Potion. First major buy is Rod of Ages. AP, HP plus mana, it provides everything Kassadin needs. Each stat increases over 10 minutes. It also has a great passive which restores mana when you take damage from a champ and restores HP when you spend mana. You want to rush this item so you start scaling ASAP. The tankiness this item provides is necessary in most games, where you need to position aggressively to output optimal damage. Now before you purchase your second tier boots, I would suggest purchasing a tier. You want to start stacking this immediately. Once you have a fully stacked Seraph's Embrace, you'll not only have plenty of AP and mana, but a chunky shield active which can be used to absorb damage. With this item plus roll, you'll have enough mana and damage to use those 800 mana Rift Walks and completely decimate enemy champs. Right after your tier, you should complete your second tier boots. Sorcery boots provide Magic Pen, great item for damage. Ninja Tabais are necessary for heavy AD teams. In fact, you should probably rush this item in some lanes against things like Zed, Talon, Yasuo, Aatrox. Mercury Treads are great against heavy AP and CC teams. With the Legend Tenacity rune fully stacked and these boots, you'll have 60% Tenacity. Almost all CC at this point will have little effect on you. A rare but still viable choice is Ionian boots. Cheaper than the previous choices, they can be useful if you're desperate for second tier boots and you need a CDR. Perhaps if you don't plan on purchasing one of the other CDR items, this may be okay, but you really do lose a lot of valuable stats compared to the other three boots. After your core build of Roa, second tier boots and Seraphs has been completed, the next items are mostly situational in terms of the order you purchase them. The next solid choice is Lichbane. AP mana movement speed and the important damage from that auto passive, you'll one-shot most squishies. Don't be afraid to build Rabadon's Death Cap if you find yourself snowballing hard though. You'll deal insane AoE damage from your ult and E. After level 16, that's AoE Rift Walk damage every single second. Zhonya's is the safest but still just as important. A great active when you go in deep, try to use this after you output as much damage as possible. The invulnerability should give you enough time for your abilities to come off cooldown and then you can decide whether you want to continue fighting or simply back off by Rift Walking out. Void Staff might be necessary if enemies start stacking MR. You can upgrade your Dark Seal to Mage Eyes anytime you are ahead and have a good chance to snowball the game. I would still recommend this after your Roa and tier since you still want a consistent build to fall back on if you end up dying and losing all your Mage Eye stacks. Morellonomicon is great against heavy healing comps. The Grievous Rune passive can be the difference between losing and winning a teamfight against some team comps, so keep this in mind. Banshees is a safe defensive option against any CC that can pick you out late game. First summoner spell is Flash. Even though Kassadin has a blink every few seconds on his ult, he'll still need this early game whether to survive ganks or pick up kills, as well as the after 6 to perform an ult flash combo. The second summoner is a close call between Ignite and TP. If you're in an easy to medium lane and have a chance to pick up kills, take Ignite. TP is the safer and more consistent option. In most medium to hard matchups, you'll take plenty of poke and rough trades, so you'll need to back for health or you'll risk dying. TP back to lane to make sure you pick up as much CS as possible. Cass's main priority early game is just to survive lane. This also gives you an option to split push, TPing whenever you need to join a fight or help a team for an objective. Let's quickly go over animation cancel before we move on to combos. Cass's W is an auto attack reset. Simply auto then W. This will allow you to get a quick auto before your W damage. His main trade combo before 6. Assuming you can get close enough, Q, E, auto, and W. Things to keep in mind. You should Q to shield yourself from AP whenever it's best. E slow will allow you to close distance for an auto, then W. If you can't get close enough for an auto, just use W's extended range. This combo is great to proc electrocute before 6. The main optimal combo, if you're going to wrist walk on top of them, is R, auto attack, W, E, and Q. You can use Q whenever you want to absorb magic damage, so timing for that is essential. Using it first or last though is the most efficient. Optimal combo if you need a gap close. R, E, auto attack, W, then Q. The E is important right after R because of the slow. It also has a slightly lower range than Q. If you were to Q first and they were a max Q range, you wouldn't be able to get your E damage off. Huge gap closer with ult damage. Ult, instantly flash to target location, then the normal combo. You need to instantly flash after your ult to apply the wrist walk damage.